So gamers had one mission this year, to destroy the Epic Games Store, and it seems like it's mission fail. We'll get them next time. So Epic Games Store, nobody likes it. We've been reporting on it for a year, and
luckily the data now suggests that the Epic Games is failing. Isn't that right, Ralph?
No, that's exactly the opposite of what I just said like 2 seconds ago.
Oh, well, I guess that means that they might be doing well. All this and more.
Doing okay. It's hard to say, but either way, they're making some money and they're not going anywhere. They've outlined some of their sales figures for the last year, as well as their plans for 2020. Now you can do your drop, Sam. It's your drop,
My
pre-drop,
drop.
drop.
In the beginning, there was peace, okay? There was a one mighty power, and that power was Gabe, okay?
Praise
All
Gabe.
Power to Gabe.
Gaben.
We love Gaben, but then another, I don't know, I thought you were dummy then. But then came the dark times, okay, when we had someone else competing against our Lord and Savior Gabe, and that is, of course, Epic Games, everybody.
Tim Sweeney. Ooh, do we have like a let's do a Sauron meme. Quick, do a Sauron meme.
No, I don't think I will.
So Epic burst onto the scene last year, promising quite a few things. First of all, they promised a better split for developers because, you know, basically Steam takes 30% of revenue, and Epic was always like, hey man, that's too much. We're good guys. We're going to charge way less, so good on us.
Yeah.
That was cool. Great.
I thought
Liked
that was
it.
pretty cool when I first saw that. I'm like, okay, maybe this is going to be good for consumers. It's going to be very good for devs because we are seeing a better split for them. Smaller games are able to now get more money back and maybe put it into the game or put it into the new game they want to do. But more importantly, I thought, great, we're going to see some more competition between the biggest big dog, Steam, and then another competitor is going to maybe make that market more fair. Has it happened though? Kind of, because the cost of competition in this industry, it turns out, is exclusives. When the exclusives war began, people were not happy. It began with Metro Exodus, which was the first of the major sort of like big release titles to go from being something that's coming on Steam to like, hey guys, it's not coming out to Steam for like another year.
Let's do this. You got a friend in me.
That was the first one. Then after that, we had the Outer Wilds, which no one really cared about back then. No one really knew what it was.
No one still doesn't care about it, okay, Ralph? No one likes it.
This is true. All of that was sort of building up, and then of course we had E3. Remember how we were at the PC Game Show at E3? Actually, not just then, quite a few new exclusives were announced at E3 2019, where Epic was like, hey man, we're here to stay, we're doing our thing. That was it.
That was definitely a definitive moment for me. I think maybe a lot of gamers were like, okay, cool, this is the strategy. This isn't just like, hey, let's do one or two to enter the market and get people using our actual browser. Like, this is actually the strategy, and it looks like it's not going anywhere, people.
And it does need to be said that this exclusive strategy has had a very big impact on the market because 6 of the best games this year have been exclusive to the Epic Games Store on PC. We're talking Control, we're talking Outer Wilds, Outer Worlds, Borderlands 3, Metro Exodus, and Game of the Year,
100%,
Untitled Goose Game.
Have you played it yet? I haven't played it yet.
We've all played it because we've all watched it.
Yeah,
so that's the main thing. As long as you watch the videos, you've played it, okay?
Exactly right.
You can't say this strategy has not had an impact. It definitely has. Those are very influential, very important games that only came to the Epic Games Store. But, like, why then, Sam, if we're getting all these good games on the Epic Store, are gamers so pissed off? What's the deal?
I don't understand, right? Typical angry gamers, am I right, folks? It's nothing to do with a terrible refund policy, no preloading, no shopping carts, terrible social experience. I'm not reading this, of course, guys. No modding, no reviews, no community. Nothing. I don't know why we have something here to saying nothing. That's also a list
whoever
of
whoever writes the script sucks.
It's very smart.
So look, Sam listed a whole bunch of things. Then some of those have been improved, like the refund policy, like preloading. There have been a few things added to the store, but the fact is the storefront is still pretty bare bones, like really bare bones. In fact,
and no international currency differences.
No, that's been fixed.
Oh, that has been fixed.
Yes.
Oh, Epic, you're getting better.
But stuff like their social experience, their browsing, their like the modding community, user reviews. All that stuff just isn't there, and so a lot of people just prefer buying from Steam, and they don't have to want to use the Epic Games Store because they're like, this sucks. I prefer Steam.
Yeah, especially when you come out with a product, all these things weren't there at the beginning, and this is a perfect example where me, along with a lot of other gamers, you know, those things are etched in your mind when it's coming out and they're not there at the beginning, you know? So it's hard, I think, to really compete with Steam when you've got all these things missing and then you add them later. A lot of people just don't forget that.
The result was a storefront not ready for prime time, and gamers were pissed.
They were
the
annoyed.
PC Games subreddit has recently like taken the move of turning all Epic Games threads to like contested mode in discussion, because it like stops the downvote brigade.
Oh, really?
Because like everyone on the PC Games subreddit hates the Epic Games Store so much. Every time there's a negative thread, it was upvote.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
fuck Epic. Anytime that's like, this game is free on Epic, downvote.
And,
You know?
and I thought it might have been going away, but you know what? The hate for Epic is still stronger than ever.
It is. There's actually /r fuck Epic has also popped up. It's now a thriving Reddit community
Are you
as well.
part of that community?
I'm definitely subscribed.
I mean, I should subscribe
I've
to
seen
that.
some great content on that
Why not?
community. There's obviously lots of memes, like the whole
Oh
like.
my god, we see this in the comment section all
Memes
the
all the time,
time.
like you know, you play Borderlands, and then they're like, "How are you playing this game when it doesn't come out for another 6 months on PC?" You know, thanks, Epic Games beta testers. I'll get it when it comes to PC. All these sorts of things. We're like, ha, very funny. Haven't heard that meme before. Well done.
Like,
well done.
it is very funny, but the truth is, like, did it actually mean loss of sales? Like, did it actually mean that Epic Games did not do well because it was a meme and shit? So Epic now has actually released some figures now to celebrate the year and show a breakdown of what the actual sales and figures were. And these are the figures. We've got 108 million PC customers. This includes Fortnite kids, okay? So I don't know how much of that is actually Fortnite, but I'm gonna say a decent chunk. $608 million worth of revenue generated. That does include the Fortnite bucks, okay? 251 million spent on third-party games. Now that's interesting because that is actually the figure that does separate itself entirely from Fortnite.
Yeah, and this is revenue, by the way. This is not profit. So given that we have like an 88-12 split or whatever, you can do the math on that and just sort of see how the general amount of profit that they might be taking in. But there's also further things like discounts and giveaways and whatever else and stuff that impacts that. So look, $250 million in revenue is a good number, but I don't think that Epic are raking in huge amounts of cash. Fortnite is making these guys literally billions of dollars, like literally billions. And then we're talking at, let's say conservatively, you can say it's like $25 million in profit here. Let's say you shoot the moon and like, oh my God, you do some crazy math. Let's say you made $50 million last year from your store. That's a good number, obviously, but for Epic, who are used to dealing in billions, many more zeros on the end of that, then, you know, you gotta wonder whether or not they're really that satisfied with how things are going.
And this is the biggest thing, right? That doesn't really include all the money they've paid for those exclusives, you know? I mean, we've seen some figures last year,
very true,
roughly showing, what, 10 million roughly they paid for a particular...
that might have been for Borderlands.
Maybe Borderlands.
That was a guess. There's no real numbers on this.
Sure,
There's
okay.
no real numbers.
No, that's what I mean. So there's no real numbers, but there were some guesstimations and some figures that were maybe pointing to that. If that is true, they do have a host of exclusives there. Who knows if all that had gobbled up any profit?
Yeah,
you know, so
that's a very valid question, I think.
Tim Sweeney also last year did say, look, he's not too concerned with profit right now. He's really concerned about building that marketplace up too. So maybe that's just like, they don't give a shit right now because they got all the Fortnite bucks. But it's interesting to remember that if they continue down the exclusive path, I mean, maybe this is going to be another year where they're breaking even because they're just wanting to get people onto those stores.
So the question becomes, what is the future for the Epic Games Store, and are they going to continue down this exclusives path? The answer is indubitably, because they have just this week come out and talked about their strategy for the future. The GM of Epic Games Store, this guy by the name of Allison, that's his surname, not his first name.
I was gonna say,
He says that the exclusives have driven the majority of revenue thus far on the Epic Games Store, though he noted that non-exclusives have also performed well. Epic CEO Tim Sweeney said the company plans to continue to purchase exclusives, saying they are critical to growing the store. Securing exclusives for Epic means we can significantly assist developers with product funding and investment in marketing and awareness, knowing that these efforts bring in new customers to our store rather than just sending more business to the incumbent, he said. Now, the thing is though, this comment that he makes about the need for exclusives and how critical it is for their business is actually in direct contrast to an earlier comment he made, where he's like, I will stop doing exclusives the minute that Steam change their revenue split. You can't have it both ways. You can't say this is absolutely essential to the growth of our business, and also we'll stop doing it if our competitor starts charging less.
Yeah, look,
I call bullshit on that previous remark.
It's definitely bullshit. I do look. Business strategies can change, especially when you do the figures a year on, and you're like, okay, it looks like the only way we're actually making money is to corner the market on those games. So that could be the situation. Now, he's also announced that there's going to be some new exclusives coming to the Epic Games Store this year, including Magic the Gathering Arena, Predator, Hunting Grounds, Auto Chess, Rogue Company, and Godfall, and even more exclusive later. So it is definitely going to be part of their strat. They're not going to stop doing this at all, people.
The other thing they just announced as well is that they've added Open Critic to their storefront. So before there were no reviews whatsoever, user reviews or critic reviews, but now you are actually going to be able to see critic reviews for games when we're sort of like shopping for them. So now, thankfully, you will be able to know what IGN think of your potential game purchases.
Okay, don't you want to know what we thought?
I actually am on Open Critic, by the way. Skill Up is on Open Critic.
Loser. Okay.
Only the good reviewers, not IGN. So the question I think for all of this is, what does this mean for the future of Epic, and is it going to work? As I look back on this, I definitely think, okay, these guys have made some money, but I don't think they've made mountains of money. I think they're looking at a long-term strategy where they want to build a storefront that will eventually be, really big and huge, and everyone has it and everyone loves it and they buy all their games, or at least a lot of people buy their games from there. But I personally just don't see that vision in that way, because I really feel like we're moving into some different territory when it comes to ecosystems. There's your PlayStation, there's your Xbox, there's Steam, there's Nintendo. I mean, these are ecosystems that people are hooked into already that have vast amounts of benefits associated with them, and social interfaces and hardware and all this sort of stuff. And then you've got the Epic Games Store, and it's like, why do I want this thing? Why does this need, why? What's gonna pull me and keep me there?
It's definitely,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, late to this. It's definitely late to the party, you know, and that's the biggest problem. And I get that they want to continue doing exclusives. Do I think it's a successful strategy? In part, it's damaged them in terms of the relationship they have with the gamer. Like, let's be real, a lot of people do not like Epic Games as much as they did before they announced this. Because they were like, hey, we're going to take all these games that you thought you were getting on Steam. I don't think this is a long-term strategy in reality. I think that this is something that maybe, some more games will come, but it's kind of a dirty word now. And I think a lot of developers might look at this and go, it's not really maybe worth it to put it exclusively on Epic Games, because the actual consumer gets pissed at you if you're a developer too. So, I don't know, man. This might work for a short time, but the figures aren't showing that they're raking it in to really justify this as a long-term strategy.
Yeah, it's a good question mark. I mean, given how much money Fortnite makes just for being Fortnite, they're better off trying to make the next Fortnite than they are trying to build this storefront that everyone hates and shits on, and it's this gigantic commercial nightmare, and they make, like $20 million profit at the end of the day. Yeah. They could just release a new Fortnite skin and still make the same amount. I reckon the new Ninja skin made more profit for Epic Games than did the entire Epic Games Store. I am not even 100%. Shitting you. That's got to be true. Yeah. That has got to be true. Anyway, that's a depressing thought for so many reasons, guys. Where's the Laymen skin? It's Tim Sweeney. Oh, we should call me, baby. I mean, what? Gaben, call me. You're my one and only. I love you. Laymen out.
Goodbye.
Here we go, off the rails.